A very good morning. Wishing you a wonderful Monday and a great week ahead. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Well. We'll talk about three things: China export surge, NFP data, and US dollar, and the week ahead. Stocks rallied back on Friday, but it was a rough week for many technology and internet companies. After wobbling early in the session, major indices rebounded in the afternoon. The S&P 500 index ended the session up 2%, the Nasdaq rallied 1.6%, while the Dow Jones index was up 1.9%. Treasuries also seesawed. By session end, benchmark 10-year yields were little change from Thursday's 1.57, sliding back from above 1.6 earlier in the day. But that's still more than 15 basis points higher from where they opened the week. The theme for last week was rotation. On the one hand, higher rates were threatening tech stocks' big valuations. High-flying shares like Twitter and Tesla were both down more than 10% on the week, as was the closely watched ARK Innovation ETF. But economic news like a jump in payrolls and a bit of inflation may portend good results for sectors like finance and energy. S&P 500 energy stocks ended the week up 10%. The financials were up 4%. In terms of data from China exports surged in the first 2 months of the year, jumping 61% in dollar terms. The surge, while skewed via comparison to a lockdown economy from last year, reflects strong global demand and was well above the 40% estimate. Imports also grew, climbing 22.2% in the first 2 months of the year from a year earlier, exceeding the 16% gain predicted by economists. Asian stocks are poised to start the week stronger after US moved to a crucial step closer to a massive stimulus package and the China data that's pointed to a strong global demand. The dollar ticked up a bit against the yen in early trading, while the Aussie and Kiwi are little changed. Sticking with the US dollar hit new highs on Friday after strong US jobs report. The greenback extended its gains against all of the major currencies, with the dollar yen rising to its strongest level since June 2020 and Euro USD falling to its weakest since November. Unlike prior days when there was less uniformity, all the major currencies succumbed to dollar's rally. In fact, investors were bidding up the dollar before the number was released. When it came out, the gains accelerated as the labor market recovery reinforced Federal Reserve Chair's optimism and the reflation trade. Thanks to reopening of restaurants and bars, the US economy is gaining momentum and heading into spring on a solid footing. US companies added about 355,000 jobs last month, nearly 2 times expectations, but that's even more remarkable as the upward revision to the January report came through. Initially, only about 49,000 jobs were reported in the US, but that got revised up to 166,000. So the total that was added for 2 months was about 545,000 jobs. With more than 2/3 of February job growth attributed to food service industry, it's clear how much impact less restrictions can have on the economy and the US can expect in the coming months as more Americans are vaccinated. The leisure and hospitality sectors will snap back, and along with it, more job growth can be expected. The unemployment rate, determined by a separate survey, ticked down to about 6.2% last month. The rate is well below the near 15% pandemic peak in April of 2020, but remains above the 2019's 50-year lows. Overall, the US has about 9.5 million fewer jobs than a year earlier, just before the coronavirus pandemic took hold in much of the country. Friday's report gave the Treasury market another round of discomfort over the possibility that the Federal Reserve might start reducing asset purchases and raising rates sooner than the central bank has indicated. Yields on the 2, 3 and 5-year Treasury notes, which have been particularly sensitive to shifts in Fed policy expectations, swung sharply higher in early trading before easing up later in the day. Just a point before we close out on the NFP discussion, remember that Powell mentioned about labor force participation as the third pillar. So you have inflation, you have unemployment rate, and then you have the labor force participation. That number has been pretty much stuck at about 61.5%. Earlier, before the pandemic hit, we were at about 63.5%, but that's down to about 61.5. So that's stubbornly low, and that will also play out in the overall considerations for the Fed. Lastly, on the week ahead, the ECB is the week's main act. The central bank may announce plans to tame yields with more bond purchases on Thursday, though it probably won't give a firm target or change the size of its overall PEPP program. This is according to Bloomberg Economics. Christine Lagarde will also update economic forecasts. No changes on rates is expected. The Fed is in blackout before its March 16th and 17th meeting, but the US inflation is up midweek. CPI may pick up a tad with upward pressure limited to energy costs. This is according to Bloomberg Economics again. The earnings season carries on. Among bigger industrial and transport names, we'll be looking at Cathay Pacific, Continental and Rolls-Royce. JD.com and China Telecom will be coming up from China, and Adidas and Campbell Soup will also be reporting through the week. On the treasury side, a fresh dose of long-end supply this week may make short positions even more attractive. A total of about 62 billion will be offered in 10 and 30-year debt. BMO is eyeing about 1.75 as the next key mark for the 10-year yields, which reached about 1.62 on Friday before settling lower. Lastly, on the US corporate credit front, blue chip companies may offer about 40 billion to 50 billion after last week's record 65.4 billion issuances. Sales will be driven as more firms pull forward issuances before treasury yields rise too much. The hot streak for junk bond sales may also keep up. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy. Have a lovely week ahead, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.